Welcome to the Introverted Influencer Podcast. I'm your host, Erica Van Slyke. My soul's mission on this planet is to help fellow introverts grow their online influence in a state of feminine flow and ease. While battling the woes of depression, anxiety, and even mom guilt, I've somehow managed to build a six-figure blog without the use of social media and without sacrificing my mental health. If I can do it, you can too. Well, hello, my precious darling. It has been a long time. No, I'm not trying to record a Conway Twitty song. I just didn't even know how to dive back into another episode when it's been a hot minute. We'll put it that way. And I didn't originally intend to take such a long hiatus from this podcast, but life kind of happened, and I could give you a long story as to all the many excuses, all of the events in my life that kind of piled on top of each other and took me away from basically spilling my soul to you every week. But I'm just going to save you the time and kind of long story short, I had planned to take a little break from the show when my kids went on spring break. And the week before spring break, a lot of personal things went down. Some scary things happened that I don't really want to talk about yet. And I tried to force myself to do a show. I did. I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm taking off next week for spring break with the kids. So I've got to get something out. Like I promised you, I would get another message out. And I sat down here in front of this mic and I was so distraught mentally about some things that were happening that I couldn't get through like one sentence without having to start completely over, start the episode over. And after like 30 minutes of starting over, because I was just so distraught, I was like, fuck it. Obviously, I do not have the capacity to fill anyone else's cup up with any sort of inspirational material when I need to fill my own fucking cup up at this point. Like that's where life is. Like I got to fill my own cup up. And I also have to make some white space for myself. There was just way too much chatter going on. So I decided I'm going to take off for a few weeks and we'll see if I can't get my mental space and my spiritual space back to centered ground again, because it was pretty bad. And so with that being said, I am in an exciting place with my blog right now. Just to kind of catch you up to speed, I decided about a month ago to invest the most I ever have into my blog. And I hired a Pinterest specialist to take over Pinterest. That was a source of frustration. It used to be my greatest love in terms of like channels and platforms to get traffic to the blog. It was my favorite for 8 years. And then it gave me grief for over a year now. And I asked myself, how can I be in more of an empowered energy instead of just bitching and moaning about this situation? And I thought, you know what? I'm going to surrender it over to someone else. I'm surrendering this over. So all that frustration is completely out of my auric field at this point. And it's been weird surrendering over that because it was like my favorite thing at one point. So it's kind of ironic, but I'm doing it and it's too early to tell. We're like 30 days in. Pinterest actually is kind of freaking out right now because anytime you implement a new strategy, it doesn't know what to do with the new strategy. That's why you don't want to change things up too frequently because it's confusing to Pinterest. So right now, it's not loving the fact that there is someone approaching the pinning in a new way. But when I spoke to my Pinterest VA, she said, give it anywhere from 45 to 60 days, and we should start seeing an uptick. So I find that very exciting. And also just working with her, she's also a business coach for newer bloggers. She's a blogger herself. She's been blogging for 8 years as well. And her bread and butter has been Pinterest and Google Web Stories. So she also offers Google Web Story services. And I started to ask her about the web stories. Is that a good investment of a blogger's time? And some of the stories she shared with me with results from her clients are very encouraging. Like, you could get 30,000 views from one Google Web Story in one day. And while the traffic is kind of short-lived, you only get traffic for about, 3 days up to a week, really. It's exciting. And I've seen in a lot of private blogging threads, this one person said they had a $10,000 day from a Google Web Story. So I'm hitting the Google Web Stories really hard too. And luckily, my VA is amazing. And she taught me kind of how to set it all up on the back end of my website because it is a lot more technical than, say, like an Instagram story. It looks visually very similar, but it is pretty technical because you have to know the back end of WordPress and you have to know how to hook that up to your Google Analytics and yada, yada, yada. And so I am trying that. So I'm hitting that hard. I'm still hitting the SEO hard, going in, updating old content, researching keywords, all the nerdy, not as exciting stuff, but I have seen a little bit of traction from that. I have a one or two relatively, I wouldn't say like mind-blowing viral posts, but it's definitely creating a bump in my traffic. So that's been exciting. But with all that being said, it has required my blogging, my business, my moneymaker has required pretty much the majority of my focus at this point. And so I'm having a feeling I'm going to have to rework my schedule somehow in terms of the podcast. And I'm hoping maybe like bi-weekly or at least once a month because I have missed you. I really have. I didn't know at the point when I decided I had to take a few weeks off. I was so burnt out. My adrenals were so shot that it was like normally the type of podcast and YouTubers that used to inspire me and give me hope and like light a fire under my ass. It's at that point, like about a month ago, everything started to sound like noise to me. It was just noise. It wasn't moving me. If anything, it was kind of agitating me. Like any sort of motivational talk, I was just like, bullshit. And that's just where I was. Like, I'm just being completely transparent. And so I guess I was in such a dark space that I started to question a lot of things. And it just made me really reluctant to get on here because I didn't want to be inauthentic. I didn't want to contribute to what was starting to sound like just noise to me. And so the break's been good, but I don't want to have split energy. I've got a goal to grow this blog and to get it back to at least where it was a year ago before Pinterest dumped on me. And that's going to require a lot of my energy right now until I get that going again, kind of in a flow state. Sometimes you can get an autopilot with blogging. That's the beauty about passive income. But right now it's not there. But I feel like when I'm trying to do too many things at once, it splits my energy. Like I've got, half of my energy in the women's development, the podcast, the speaking gigs, and then the other half in like interior design, DIY, blogging, SEO. And it's just a little too much for my nervous system right now, I think. Obviously, I'm going to have to back off a little on the things that aren't making me income because that's kind of required for survival. I got a big old mortgage to pay and bills, but I'm going to try my best to not completely ghost you now that I kind of got that long-winded explanation out of the way. I'm here to just share with you the message that is in my heart, and it may be cheesy and it may be very like eye roll. I've heard this a million times, Erica, whatever. But I just had to get it off my chest. It's kind of a silly little metaphor, but I hope it helps someone. So this winter was odd. I live in the Southeast, Tennessee, baby. And it like immediately in December, normally like you can lay out, it's like sunny in December, celebrating Christmas almost seems kind of weird, but this year, like this crazy freeze, like whipped through and killed like a lot of my landscaping. Whatever, months pass, and normally like March, April, it starts to feel very full-blown spring here. And like you can go out on the water and tan and start to do a lot of gardening and landscaping. Well, that wasn't the case this spring. It's been so bizarre. Like normally April, you feel like it's summer already and you can get all your gardening done and your landscaping. And so every weekend I'm like, damn it. It feels like winter. Like I'm ready to like plant my garden. I'm ready to repair all of the damaged landscaping from the harsh winter. When is it going to be like warm enough? When is it going to be safe enough? When is spring going to be here? And it had me thinking like, it started to feel like spring was never, ever going to come. And I thought, if I were like brand new to planet Earth, or maybe like brand new to this region, I would think, shit, spring and summer, it's never going to come. Like it's not a thing. Because if it's taken this long, it probably just won't come. And so you can probably gather where this metaphor is, where it's headed. Basically, if you've been in your winter, if you've been in a dark, trying, stressful time, and you are not seeing your results, you are not seeing any sign that what you're doing is working, that it's paying off, that you'll ever make any progress, and you keep looking for a sign or looking for a result, and that just gets you more in a frustration, doubt sort of loop, just remember, just because spring is maybe taking longer to surface and show itself to you doesn't mean that it doesn't exist or that it won't ever come. Just because something is taking longer than you would like it to doesn't mean it's not going to happen for you, babe. Your job is to get back into a state of trust and stop looking at the fucking signs or signs that it's working or evidence or signs from your spirit guides, because sometimes that just leads to frustration. I know that's where I've been. But then guess what I got to do today? There had been some heavy rain this week, and I go outside, and I had gotten I'd kind of jumped the gun on a little raised bed garden of mine. And I'd planted like cilantro and jalapenos and just a bunch of yummy stuff. And I look out today because it got really hot out of nowhere. Like, hello, okay, I'm back in Tennessee, baby. Spring is here. No, not spring. Now it's like full-blown summer. Plus, I look at my plants. My cilantro has grown like, I kid you not, like 3 feet. It's insane. And I had to prune all my cilantro back so it wouldn't like choke out everything else. So, yeah, it can happen overnight. It can change overnight. Maybe it's taking longer. Try to find a way to just enjoy like each passing moment for what it is. Each passing hour, each day. And maybe just stop looking for the evidence, because it'll get here. If you really want it, if you believe it, it will in some capacity. You'll get what you've been wanting, what your soul needs, what it craves, what it wants. It will happen for you. So, spring is gonna come, baby. And if you're like me, if you're living in the Southeast, you may just completely bypass spring and it'll be full-blown summer with, get the sun lotion out and your Ray-Bans and your margarita. And I'm going to just go ahead and not promise you that I'll be back next week, but I'm going to do what I can, because I've got to honor myself and my mental health through this trying time. And one more thing I wanted to add to this message is that while there's not a ton of evidence, like I'm seeing results here and there, but it's not like mind-blowing results. It's not what I expect. It's not what I've seen before. What I'm really trying to relish right now is the fact that my energy has shifted immensely, even through like Mercury retrograde and the eclipse season, which we've been upon, which it's super, super intense and heavy. And I do sometimes sense that heaviness from moment to moment. Generally speaking, my energy is so much lighter. And I know that everything is energetic. It's energy before it materializes into physical evidence, physical experience, touch, taste, smell. So even if you can just get your energy right, despite the fact that there's really nothing to like confirm why you should feel good or be in a good mood or be hopeful, that's the start of the actual manifestation. That's when it starts to crystallize, is if you can just hold that good energy long enough. And I hope you can just relish just the feel good or the lack of heaviness. And if you're in that heaviness, know it is just season. This too shall pass. Summer will come after the brutality and the shittiness of winter. It will. And it will be so much better because you've experienced the darkness and the misery of winter. How would you know joy and elation if it weren't for the really, really hard times? So I'm sending you all the good vibes. I'm sending my own damn self some good vibes. And hopefully I will be in a much more like spiritually supple, grounded, mentally healthy place enough to like not ghost you so long, but I'm not making any promises either. So yeah, I'm staying true to my word, baby. Not sacrificing my mental health to prove any sort of point, the whole hustle culture, like you gotta work and grind to prove yourself, to attain success. And I say success, I'm doing the air quotes. No, I've got to stay in alignment with my values. So I hope you do the same for yourself, and you got this, babe. Thank you so much for stopping by this week. I make no money from this show. Actually, it costs me money to produce and host. So the best way you can show your support for this passion project of mine is by leaving the show a 5-star written review on Apple. Also, if you would like to contribute monetarily to the show, you can leave a tip in my digital tip jar, which I have the link in the show notes. You can always share it with a friend who you think could benefit from the message, or even better, you can take a screenshot of this episode, upload it to your Insta stories, and tag me in it at Designing Vibes. Sending you my love.